Good evening, everybody. My name is Jonnie. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus, and I still struggle with me. So that as I used to. Thank you for the opportunity. Wade and Lyle for inviting me, and Wade told me is like, you just gotta speak on willingness. And well, I'm willing to be here right now. So one thing I've learned over the last few years is if you're a willing person, your phone will ring a lot. Because folks know like, oh yeah, Jonnie will move it. Just call it him. Yeah. But like I said, grateful to be here, grateful to be able to share on willingness. I actually got the opportunity to work the 12 steps with Wade as my sponsor, and next month will be 6 years. And so a lot of folks like to say God's willing, and I always say God's always willing. So I just got to be willing to make it to that spot. So step 8, made a list of all persons did harm, and became willing to make amends to them all. The easiest part in this step for me was realizing, actually it wasn't the easy part because I learned at the end, all I had to do is become willing. All I was doing is making a list. I got a good portion of that list of those folks that I needed to make amends to, and folks that I needed to forgive too, that, when I got to the end of the step, I realized that that's all I had to do was become willing to make those amends. I had a sponsor years ago. I've been in and out of the 12 steps since I was 11 years old. And worked the steps fully the first time in Narcotics Anonymous when I was 21. And then I was taking guys through the steps, and some of those guys are still clean and sober today, 18 plus years, 16 to 18 years. But I remember having to, being young, people were like, oh, this guy has no experience. He has no life experience. He has, nothing to offer. But yet, it was kind of like, then they would see that I was walking the walk, and they'd be like, oh, okay, well, it might have just took him less time to figure it out than, someone who took him 40 years to walk through the forest for a 2-week journey. But what willingness really means, I obviously pull out the dictionary anytime I need to know what words mean. So the quality or state of being prepared to do something, or the state of readiness. So willingness is a doorway to change, and been a doorway to change for me since the beginning. Like I said, my dad always told me is like never turn down an opportunity to grow, and always being willing to step out of my comfort zone, being willing to help others, being willing to make amends to folks after I make a list of them. It's different from wanting sometimes. I tell my son every day I go to the gym, 5 days a week I go to the gym, and I tell him like, I don't want to go. I always want to turn the alarm off every single day. I never want to go. I sometimes don't want to go to my Bible study on Monday nights, but after I go, I'm glad that I did, and it's always been that way. And that's something that I've learned over the years. The word in the steps is that I don't always have to want to do it to know that it's the right thing to do. That's it. Willingness is choosing growth over comfort, just like I just said. It's like, I know this is going to help me. I know it sucks, but I'm going to do it anyway because, if I sit in the back, if I say I can't do it, then I've already given up before I even started, before I even began to start trying to do it. So it's definitely like a mindset thing where you get to the point where you have to be mind over matter when it comes to doing those things that we don't want to do. And that's a lot of stuff, especially early in recovery, because fear, especially by the time you get the 8th step, you usually should have a little bit of time by then. But in recovery, willingness often looks like, just like I said, showing up to meetings even when I don't feel like it, calling my sponsor instead of isolating. That's what the enemy wants me. He wants me to be by myself, thinking about the worst possible things that could happen, or when I'm caught up in a situation and don't know what to do, to just sit in that and let them and stew in it, when all I really need to do is reach out to somebody. For me, I would say writing my list of the 8 step, I would say like, wasn't really a big deal for me because I already like kind of understood and I knew that the solution within the steps, especially working the steps this time around, like I knew that there was released and working the steps fully and not distraction and starting this and digging deep and getting anything or everything off my chest and on paper. And, some people attribute it to like the second, 4th step, like they say like the 1, 2, 3 shuffle, and then most folks get scared and they leave them on the 4th step because you got to kind of dig a little deeper. And the 8th step, you're digging back to that 4th step again with those people you have to make amends to. So you just got to do it. For me, that was the easiest way to look at it was just like, I got to do it. If I want to get to 12, I got to do 8. So, and in order, like I remember seeing the steps when I first got recovered, like I could do 1, probably skip 2 of those. I could do 4, man, I can do that, but in order and with a sponsor. The only wrong way to work in the steps is without a sponsor. Willingness doesn't guarantee success, but it definitely guarantees progress. Every time I'm willing, I give myself a chance to heal. So, just like this opportunity tonight, I don't like standing up on stage. I don't like speaking in front of people, but I ended up doing it. That's part of my recovery process, being able to share my experience, strength, and hope with others. And the challenge of facing our past. So for me, step 8 asked me to face reality and to look honestly at the people that I've harmed. And I'm not proud of a lot of the steps that I've done in my past. I'm not proud of how I've harmed people, of how I've harmed the things I put myself through. And having to know that have to face those people one day. I'll never forget, there was like my first sponsor when I went there, and there was a good friend of mine whenever I was younger, and there was alcohol involved, and I ended up, being with his wife or his girlfriend at the time, and like I felt really bad about it, and my sponsor was like, you can't tell the guy, you can't, because that would harm him or others. But so he was like, but I want you to write a letter to him. So I wrote this letter, explained to him everything, explained to him I was like, it wasn't me. I was in a different state of mind. Then I felt bad for it. And obviously it takes 2 to tango, so that, it's not 100% my fault. But, and I went to his house and he had me take the letter, let me get the guy's address, put a stamp on the envelope. We walked out to the mailbox. He opened the mailbox. He's like, okay, stick it in there. So I stuck it in the mailbox. He's like, pull it out. He's like, he lit it on fire, dropped it on the ground. He's like, all you had to do is become willing. So I didn't actually send the letter, but I did everything up to putting it in the mailbox. And he's like, that's it. That's all you have to do. It's not easy. My old self wanted to hide or deny or blame others. The truth is, many of us carry fear, shame, or pride that makes us want to skip this step. Like, the fear and the Satan denying and blaming others. That's still something that, I still have a trait that I struggle with. But, did you do the dishes, honey? Yeah, I did the dishes. Then I didn't do it. No, or maybe he didn't do it as she did. A beautiful wife back here, Nicole, just celebrating 7 years together.
That's awesome.
She's the first woman that didn't, I couldn't manipulate. First woman I couldn't manipulate. When I first approached step 8, I thought there's no way I could face certain people. They'll never forgive me. I'll never forgive myself. For me this time around, obviously, the forgiving myself thing came a little sooner because I knew that that's where I would grow the most. And obviously for me this time around, like I always believed in God, but I never believed that Jesus Christ was my Lord and Savior until this time around, and through working the steps through Celebrate Recovery and Recovery Church, same steps. And but I remember sitting in Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and I said, we're in a church, we pray in the beginning and the end of it, we're passing the basket, like it's the spitting image of like church or, and both steps came from the Bible. So I think it's like a stepping stone for most folks. Some people may stay stuck in the recovery world, and some folks end up realizing that Jesus is the way, that the 12 steps came from the Bible, and the truth is in the Bible. So, but hey, forgiving myself came from becoming a Christian, because I figured that if Jesus could forgive me for what I've done, then I would be able to forgive myself. And that was a big stepping stone for me to be able to grow, because if I lived in that state and that guilt, and I would always, feel down and like, oh, I don't deserve this. And, but the truth is like, I did that for years. Like I remember going to other meetings and picking up a white key tag once a week, or a white chip, and like just feeling like my tail between my legs as I walked across the room, pick up another white key tag, when Jesus was just standing there right there with his arms open, saying, it's okay. Come on back. It's okay. You mess up, get up. Get up again. There's no shame and no guilt. Just start over. And it took me, believing in Jesus, and I found finding Jesus in Rock Road. That's where I met Wade. I tell people it's the best detox I've ever been. Best detox ever. Food's horrible though. The grace in step 8, it allows me to grow and to take action in step 9. So obviously, you're not supposed to work the steps knowing that the next one's coming, but if you're in recovery, you know what the next step is, and that means actually make them as amends. This time around, it's hard for me to put some people on the list because they're not around anymore. People who were really, my father, really close to me, we were in recovery together. We worked the steps. We were in the step studies together. We didn't have the same sponsor, but there was a good period of time early in my recovery. I'd say everybody said go to 90 days and 90 days. If we went a year. There was maybe 3 meetings we missed in a year. Me and my dad went every single day together. And I ended up using again. He had got sick and had died from cancer, and I was probably the worst I've ever been on opiates. And obviously, when he passed away, it made me want to keep going even harder. And I ended up losing my career as a firefighter. I didn't lose it. I know where it went. Gave it away. But I had ruined a career from my drug use. And when I know today, they're just proud of me. I know today that I get to make living amends. It is and was on that list for me the last time around. And, I had to become willing to make those amends as well. A lot of times it's not walking up to somebody and saying you're sorry. It's how you carry yourself, for the rest of your life. So, or one day at a time. How does my willingness grow? Willingness doesn't show up at once. It builds gradually through patience. I strengthen willingness in small ways every day. Choosing honesty instead of a lie. Still difficult for me today, but I try to maintain that integrity and doing the right thing and saying the right thing, even when I know that I could probably get away with it. Saying yes to service. Jonnie, did you come in here and share more? So one day I insisted my Bible study. That's why I don't come to Recovery Church. For 3 years, we started a Bible study, and it's on Monday nights. And even I got another friend of mine that started a Forge Degree, and it's on Monday nights. I'm like, you can't put it on Tuesday? But just best way to start your week, though, right?
Yeah, and so
Best way to start your week. Praying in for willingness when I don't have it. Still struggle just like everybody else. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and even when I don't want to be stumped, asking God for that strength and that courage to be able to be willing to do it, being able to get up out of bed when I don't want to get up, and having those tough conversations. I got a 14-year-old son now that it's just, pray for me, folks. But Often willingness begins at just a tiny crack in the wall of resistance, but that's all it takes to like come in, small glimmer. For me, there was people on my step 8 list I never thought I'd be able to make amends to. By writing their names, talking it through with my sponsor, and praying for the willingness, something shifted over time, fear lessened, and the desire to make things right grew stronger. Same thing, like you don't write the list thinking you're gonna make amends to people, but obviously we know we're gonna make amends to these people, so it's same thing, staying honest, digging deep, not saying, oh, I know I should put this person, but maybe next time. No, put them on the list, even if there's a shadow of a doubt. Willingness keeps me moving forward in recovery. Opens the door immediately, like I said in the beginning, not only with others, but within myself. And as I practice willingness, I've begun to experience freedom from resentment, and freedom from fear, and freedom from the shame of my past. I shared about it, I think 3 weeks ago. This lady was asking me, she's like, yeah, I'm still dealing with the wreckage of my past, even after 6 years. And I saw someone who was on my list, walked up to him at a Walmart, and was like, look, I remember when I was in middle school, I used to do this to you. I was kind of like bullying them in a way. Like, I'm not that guy anymore, I apologize for that, and you don't even have to forgive me, but I send it. I apologize for that. He's like, it means a lot, and that's the thing, is you do stuff in your past, because like I remember I would do it, like I know I would get away with it or I would get in trouble for it, but just to see how long I would get away with it for, like, or how, like, I knew if I screwed somebody over, eventually they'd find out. And that's the same thing, you think you're not going to see somebody again. You will. God's going to put them in your lives. But to conclude, step 8, I want to share a verse real quick I wrote down. So willingness. 1 Peter 5:2. Not under compulsion, but willingly as God would have you. And this verse emphasizing that service should stem from a willing heart of the giver, not the gift itself. And that's giving of your time, giving of your doing service, finances if you have it. That was the biggest thing for me, especially coming to church early on, was like, oh God, we're talking about tithing again. And, I realized that all God wanted from me was just to have a willing heart. Didn't matter if I gave to the big church down the street, I can go down to give $20 to a homeless guy or whatever. It was just how my heart was willing. And whenever I was in certain situations, God put me in, it was like, you could tell he's putting me with both hands to do it. He's like, go ahead, Jonnie, do what you got to do. And that's what God wants from us. He wants us to be stewards of what he gives us, whether it's finances, abilities, skills, and to be good stewards of it, and be able to be willing in situations where 9 times out of 10, if I got to think about it, like, is this God wanting me to do this? That means he's wanting me to do it. If I got to think about it, that means I got to do it. And I use the saying, like, sometimes he's pushing me with one hand, and then like later is like both hands. It's like, let's go, Donnie. You know what to do. But to conclude, recovery doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for willingness. The willingness to be honest, the willingness to grow, the willingness to trust the process, even when it's scary. Fear's a big one for me. But I do know today that fear is a lack of faith. And so if I'm scared about something or have fear over something, I have to figure out why I don't have faith in that certain area of my life. What's causing it? Why? If I can do one thing and not be fearful and have faith in it, why can't I have faith in this? And so that's 10th step. Come on, there you go. I've learned that when I bring even a little bit of willingness, my higher power does the rest. God always shows up. Like it says little things you don't want to get up and do when you just, all I got to do is get off the couch. There's my second wind, All I had to do was stand up. He gave me the strength and the energy to do the reps. And sometimes that's all it is. The mind has to, or the body is, mind has to be more powerful than the body. So if you're looking at step 8, you feel overwhelmed, remember this: you don't have to be ready to make the amends. All you have to do is be willing. Willingness is enough. And that's what I got for tonight.
Thank you, Jonnie. Thanks. It's asking.
Well, appreciate you very much for being here to share with us your heart. I appreciate you telling us we get you in the jail on Thursday.
I'll
be there. He's not wrong about that. When God sets you out to do His work, people recognize that, and they will call you. And it's a beautiful thing, and we got the opportunity to think about it. A guy who was in Rock Road went back out to Rock Road and talked to a guy who was still in Rock Road, who now goes back out to talk to guys who are still in Rock Road. So that's how it works. That's really what the 12-step is about. It's how the program works. It's how discipleship works. It's how God, He doesn't give us the freedoms that He gives us. He doesn't take the sins away just to make us feel better, right? We have a purpose in this kingdom. And so every day that you get another breath, He's got a plan for you. Matter of fact, even when you stop breathing, He's got a plan for you. So don't miss that plan, and then remain willing to listen to Him, to seek Him, and then to do what you hear. If you have heard anything today or something on your heart, and you want to pick up a surrender clause, something you want to surrender to Him, come on up and give one. They are free, and that is a good price. We also have Life Recovery Bibles. If you don't have a Life Recovery Bible and you'd like one, it's got 12 steps included in it, the liner notes that relates to scriptures, do the steps. So you can come up and get that also free. Don't forget, who's next week? We got to play Dan. Okay, Nick, Kenny. Okay, Nick, he'll just speak next week. James will put here. So, and then the week after, we'll figure that out between now and then. But I won't be here, so I don't care, you know. So, but we appreciate y'all. Vegas are going to be out in the coffee shop at the middle, in the back corner. Thank you all.